try and like be social and make friends. I think especially if you're thinking of the actuarial career path, it can be tough to think about having a social life and studying for class and studying for exams and working all that in. But it's really important to have all of that and to have social time and to make friends, because otherwise it's so easy to just study and never have any outlet for, just relaxing and socializing and meeting new people and just having time to yourself. So I think that's really important, is try to meet people and to have time and socialize. And it doesn't have to just be actuaries. It's good if you meet non-actuaries too. But on the flip side of that, I actually would say what I wish I'd done a little better in college is maybe try and meet more actuarial students, because I was so worried about, my major becoming my whole life. And I had all these interests, I was interested in women's issues and in health issues. And I didn't want to only be, completely actuarially focused. I didn't want that to be my whole life. And I think in some ways it was good because I had, a campus job that was more focused on health research, which was, slightly like less traditional than actuarial kind of jobs. And I joined organizations like student clubs that were not tied to actuarial science at all. It was just other kind of either like political issues or just other issues I was interested in. But I wish I'd done a little bit more with an actuarial science club, or at least the other students considering actuarial science, because it just, it's a great network to have after college. It's great to hear just, how other people study or what kinds of fields they're interested in, and just conversations like this of how you found jobs or, what type of work you like. And so that's something that I think was a resource I should have tapped into more, especially with, if there is a club, they probably have a lot of employer events, which is a great way to learn about different career paths. And I think that was something that I could have done a little better, is remember that maybe I don't need to completely be away from actuarial things, because it is going to be my career one day, and I was planning on that. So, it's a balance. I think just remember it comes back to what's important to you and make time for that. And, don't get too bogged down on studying and only taking classes that are required. Just do what's interesting to you, and I feel like you will probably have no complaints looking back on college if you can do that.
One thing I wish I probably did more of was establish more, sort of long-term relationships with your peers at your school. If you have, specifically for me, the actuarial science major, if there's a club, you don't need to be best friends with everyone in the club, but I think you'll be surprised when you get into your career that you learn about a lot more opportunities if you have sort of a wide base of people that well. And so maybe you are in a position that you don't love, a year or two into your career. If you, have those relationships from school, then it's often pretty easy to talk with others and learn about, what is it about your job that you like, or, that sort of thing. So that's what I would recommend is just try to, establish those long-term relationships that you can, keep going forward. And it's only going to help you as you either find things that you want to do, or maybe there'll be a client of yours someday and you can bring in new business or things like that. So
something to realize is that everyone has good intentions. I feel like in school, there's a lot of, I'm competing with you against this curve in the class, or I really want to get this job and this internship. And so I'm like directly competing against someone else. But in work, everyone is working together on a common goal of getting the right answer. And everyone just wants to get to know each other and have some fun while doing it. And it takes a while to realize that after you're out of a college environment. But that's definitely key too. First thing is, school is a great time for you to put yourself out there and try new things. So maybe I would definitely recommend, if you have access to actuarial resources, take advantage of those, learn about them, network with professionals and students, because they will later become your peers, but also do new things. I don't know, maybe if you're really interested in football, like join a club that watches football games together, or play football or something like that, or I don't know, join Greek life, or I guess those things are kind of similar. Join knitting club or chess club or whatever it might be, but try to figure out what your passion areas may be, because college is a really, really good time for you to meet new friends and connections, try new things, and learn a lot about yourself. Definitely do introspection and think about what you like, what you don't like, what you want to do in the future, who you may want to be, which is such a big question, which you still will think about later on in life, but do some thinking about that in college. And then also take things seriously, but not too seriously. So there were times where I maybe got a B in a class instead of an A, or an A minus. Ooh, A minus, as if that's like the worst grade ever. It's not. But sometimes take risks and perhaps fail taking that risk, because it's a great time where you have that determined endpoint where things won't count against you. I mean, maybe a grade might set you back, or not studying for an exam, which definitely study, but you don't have to make it 100% of your life, might set you back a little bit. But just put yourself out there, focus on different dimensions of wellness, working out, social life, that sort of thing. I think it's important to grow as a person and not just as an academic when you're in school.
I think trying to get yourself into clubs and other things where you have to present in front of other people is really important. I didn't have a lot of those kinds of opportunities in the high school I went to. So I found myself way out of my element when I got to school, to university. But I'm really glad I had those opportunities, because suddenly you're thrown into work and you're presenting in front of people that you really respect and know a lot more than you. And the only way you can sort of stumble through that is to stumble through that. So get the stumbling done while you're still in school. I think that's really, really important too.
When I was in college, I did go to anytime there was presentations in college where companies were coming, I really tried to make time to go to those. Even if I was busy, I took the time to go to those and meet the people, like I mentioned a little bit earlier. And that was really important. One, it helped me understand the personalities, because one thing you find, the different types of actuarial work, different personalities tend to gravitate to those different types of work, be it consulting, insurance, maybe government work. There's different types of personalities. So you learn a little bit about what type of personalities gravitate to those types of work. And then you sort of say, hey, that's my personality, sort of like that person. Maybe that's the area I should look at. But so that balance of work or studying for classes, studying for exams, and then taking some time to meet people was important. And having a social life too. It's important to have a social life. I mean, you can, with an actuary trying to balance those things, it can be hard not to do that, but it's important to do that. And I felt like I did a pretty good job of that. And the things like the clubs at the various colleges do provide social opportunities, which are good. Let's see if there's something I would do differently. Let's see. It's hard to say. I mean, I think you want to be involved, so you want to, perhaps I would have done maybe some club outside of, like I was involved in the actuarial clubs in college. Would have done something, maybe would have been doing something that was completely out of like a communication, like a public speaking class, or or a club where you do public speaking or something like that. That would have been something I would have maybe done that would help me, because I think I'm okay at public speaking, but it's not a comfort zone. And taking something that's completely different than sort of your math classes, or your colleagues or your classmates that are in actuarial courses, doing something out of your comfort zone. Probably could have done a better job of doing something like that.
So I would say probably the smartest decision that I've made was like being involved and joining like the actual club within my school. I was able to kind of meet a lot of students that are basically actuaries or going to be actuaries. And now that I think about it, like the networks that I've built in college, now all those people are working at a different company across the world, if you will. So like I'm really fortunate to have that opportunity to kind of build those relationships. I would probably focus on just, I mean, exams and coursework is fine, but at the end of the day, I don't really remember what grade I got on course XYZ, but I definitely remember kind of the time that we spent just like hanging out at bars and enjoying kind of the college experience, if you will. So
Yeah.
I would definitely focus maybe a little bit less on school and a little bit more on kind of the communication or the community aspect of it. But at the same time, don't fail on your classes, because that's not going to be good either.
While you're in school, try not to just do school. Try to be involved in a club, beyond just being a member. Maybe become a secretary. Learn to take a little bit of a responsibility beyond exams. So it looks like to us, a recruiter, you can handle working and taking exams and doing other things. For me, I was always good at networking. So sometimes I see people that they were able to get an internship, but they can get a full-time job. So one thing I did when I interned with my old my former employer, I got a full-time job from my internship. Is that I emailed while I was in the company, because you have access to emails, you know who is who. I emailed most of people in all the areas actuaries work. I emailed at least one person, and I started asking them questions because I wanted to know. It was my only shot to know, should I go into life insurance? Am I going to like it? Is it for me? So I did that. And that was, when I graduated, the market crash had already happened, and they only hired 2 out of maybe we're 10 interns, and they hired me, and actually knew I was going to get the job because I had talked to all the directors, like they knew me. I was very, you also have to develop those selling skills. These are things that maybe you learn when you take non-actuarial classes too. I was both an actuarial and finance major. I had a choice to either do a master in actuarial science or a double major, and I chose double major because I didn't want just to be this mathematician. I wanted to be able to develop business skills to understand, other things that can affect the work that I do. So that helped a lot. Sometimes I would say if you can do a double major in marketing, something that's even different, that can impress us. You see some actuaries that have theater background, because they bring something new to the picture. So I would say don't necessarily fit in a box, but still try to meet the requirements of the box, because obviously to get a job, you need to have, most companies require an exam. I think nowadays at least one exam. So that's important that you work on that.
One thing on the side that I wish I did more was, maybe the second part that I really liked was being involved in extra activities. And why I say that is because I'm part of an interviewing group at the company I'm at, and one of the things is, if there's nothing you're involved in and there's not like work you're doing now, we'll just say that a half an hour interview is rather short, because it doesn't take all half an hour, because there's not a lot to talk about, because there's not a lot of opportunities for you to be in leadership roles or to be in management, like any sort of, we look a lot at decision making, and how you think and how you decide on things. And so to me, if there's not like the co-curriculars that are kind of helping you and teaching you along those ways, and maybe we'll say it's practice areas for decision making, that's hard for me then to ask questions about it.
Be involved when you're at school, right? Whether it's if your school has an actuarial club or just through actuarial classes, and in general, whether that's reaching out and connecting with your teachers, your classmates, other companies while you're in school.
So as a student, one of the things that I should have taken more advantage of is the actuarial club. So I did go to these presentations as freshman and sophomore year, which, helped me find my current role and current company. But I think there would have been a lot more opportunity to get exposure to, other types of companies, other types of businesses, stuff like that. So I would have taken more advantage of some of those presentations and networking opportunities. I think those are really incredible. As far as what I really enjoyed, I tried a few things on campus. One of the things I actually really enjoyed. I got a student job as a career peer in the business school, and I really enjoyed that role because I actually met a few other actuarial science students that I still keep in touch with. So that was really fun too. So I really enjoyed that. That was kind of a different experience because it wasn't as XI related, but it was a lot of, presentation skills, a lot of communication skills that I learned there too. And then I even was able to still make a few connections to the XI program, which I really enjoyed. So yeah, I think taking advantage of the XI club is really important, and then getting involved as far as, whether jobs or opportunities, whether it's in the XI department or not. And just, yeah, being open to new experiences and just trying a bunch of new things, I think is really important as a student.
I think I would have done more networking. I think that I did not really, I think I always viewed networking as this kind of like, forced friendship kind of event. And would, it would kind of go through it because I wanted a job. I wanted to meet people to kind of get connected with firms, but I didn't really appreciate the long-term value of it. And so I think I would have done more of that, gotten better, kind of honed my skills with networking better, and just built up a broader network. Because now in my role, like that is, like I'm in a management role now. I don't do a lot of hands-on. I don't do as much hands-on work as I used to, and so I rely on other people to help me answer questions and get things done. And so the broader, like I think if I earlier on in my career would have appreciated the value of having a broad network of experts, it would have led to me learning more things faster early on in my career, and just as opposed, I mean, it's naturally progressed that way for me now, just out of necessity. But I think that I would have, it would have been easier on me to have practiced that skill a little earlier. Involvement in actuarial clubs, I think was, it was like, that was a networking relationship. So I think while it may have been something that I forced myself to do back then. I'm definitely glad I did it. I wish I would have been involved more, but I was still quite involved in the actuarial clubs, and that was the way to connect myself with business. Like that's how I got my internships and how I got my hands-on business experience, and some of the more, maybe it's developing the business contacts I had, through career fairs and meet the firm events. Like that's how I got my first actuarial jobs, was through that club. And that's something that I feel good about my involvement there.
A lot of the decisions I made were fortunately the right ones for me. The only thing that I would have done differently is probably made more of a social effort with the other actuaries. I think I attended a lot of the actuarial events. I don't remember just like introducing myself to random people at those events. You kind of like stick to the people that you know, and doing the intro to the random people probably would have benefited me more longer term.
I would also say, don't say no. And then I'm going to probably say the opposite in a minute, but sort of don't say no to opportunities. There's a bunch of committees at the place I work. If there's a committee that maybe wants you to be part of it, like try it. Even if you're a little nervous about it, or it might be a little bit outside your area of expertise. So, just don't say no to things that might feel a little daunting, but could be a great opportunity to kind of expand. So I feel like don't say no is important.